What's up, YouTubes? Too many choices. Like I said, I finished that Glock 33. Well, it's a Glock 33 right now with a Glock 23 barrel. And I scavenged the parts from the 23 to complete it, just so I could do the function testing. And it works just fine. Trigger's good. No malfunctions on operation. Slide doesn't stick. But I did say that I would make a quick video about the issues I did have putting it together. So let me break this thing down, and I'll start from the beginning of the issues and work my way to the end, and be right back. Okay, so we're back. Down to the bare frame. The first issue I had was drilling the holes. As always, can be a bear. So this side, this is the left side of the frame, hole went just fine. Same one for the trigger pin. But then when I came to the opposite side, this hole would not line up completely, and this hole would not line up completely. So basically what I did after I got it in there and tried to push the pins through and saw that they wouldn't fit, I went back and grabbed the rails, shoved the rails in, didn't put the front rail in, but put the back rail in, put this back into the jig, and then I re-drilled that rear hole with the rear rails in place. And after I did that, it would finally line up. But the front holes, because of the way the locking block sits and the shape of the jig, I would have had to basically cut a crap ton of the jig away in order to do that, to get this to sit in there. I didn't feel like doing that, so instead I took a diamond bit and just left the rails inside, and then worked around and around and around until I could get the pin to come in from this side. Once I knew it would fit from this side, I knew it would go all the way through. And so once it was able to go through just barely on this side, took it from the correct side here and tapped it all the way through, and it would fit. So that finished the rail issue. Problem number one down. Alright, issue number two was I wanted to function test. So of course you take an upper with nothing in it and you just run it. And when I did that, the rear rails would stick right here. I could push it all the way down, but it would definitely stick. And so what I had to do then was pull out the rear rails, and I eyeballed them, and I thought one side was high or higher than the other, but I was wrong. They were actually just bent in. So I grabbed them and actually bent them out, and then took out the front rails, and I grabbed the upper and I made sure that the rails would slide. So put the rails in. Once the rear rails would slide and I had enough width to where they would get a decent grab, then I figured that was good enough. Did the same thing with the front rails just to make sure. They were already sliding out and in, so there was no issue with the front rails. So that was problem number two. I simply had to bend the rails because they had either become bent or shipped bent, who knows, but had to bend the rails out slightly to get them to work. Okay, then the next quick function test I did was with the rails in but no pins. I grabbed the upper, now with the barrel, this is the Glock 33 barrel, and the spring, and set it together and just check to make sure that it would slide and unlock. And it would unlock just fine, so then I moved on to the next step. Next step was breaking down my Glock 33 frame and taking all the pieces that I need. So I grabbed the trigger pin, I grabbed the magazine release, and I grabbed the takedown lever and took all those out. So that was the next step. Then of course I put the pins back in so that I don't lose those things. Okay, so after scavenging all the parts, I installed everything except for the front locking block pin and the magazine release. And then I took the upper and function tested it again. So I noticed it was sticking a little bit, as you can maybe see, and that it would stick if I had my hand on the trigger, but then it would release. And it does that every time in this configuration. I wasn't sure what was going on, but the trigger does operate and function. It just sticks right there. So I wasn't quite sure, but I continued on anyway. Okay, and since everything was functioning fine, I went and installed, besides that little bit of sticking, I installed that front locking block pin and then went to function test it. And that's where the issue came in. So now, as you can see, it will not pull back without significant force and actually sticks slightly open. So I have to force it closed. And I was completely confused as to what was going on since I hadn't changed anything really. Then I can take it down, and I thought to myself, well, if it was working before, the only thing that I changed was that front pin. Has to be this barrel interface, and I'm still not sure what the hell's going on with that pin, but it's definitely this pin. So give me a second. I switched out the barrel because I was like, it must be something with this barrel. I grabbed the 23 barrel, so this is a 40 Smith & Wesson barrel, and nothing else changes, just the barrel. Threw the spring in, grabbed the frame, and then now works just fine. So there's something going on with that barrel and the frame. It doesn't like this P-80 apparently. Maybe after a few more rounds of braking it might work, but as of now this is just going to end up being a 40. I was thinking about putting the Glock 33 upper on this one, but it's just going to have to be a 40. So, and then to test it further, I grabbed the 9mm barrel, the conversion barrel from Lone Wolf, and threw that into the frame. So this is a different, you can tell by the lines on there, the kind of different barrel. This one also works 100%. You can, and it locks back up. Locks back up. So, and I'll show you one more time, just so you don't think I'm going crazy or something. But, oh, wrong barrel. But the Glock 33 barrel, whenever that front pin is in, does not work. So I can't really draw the slide back unless I really force it, and it will get stuck no matter what. And it will have to be bumped back in. But it does operate after that. So it's just a really weird thing. Give me a second, I'm going to drift this pin out off camera. So now the pin is out. Everything else has still remained the same. So for whatever reason, I don't know what that one pin is doing, if it's pulling the block down, pushing it up, but whenever that pin is in, it does this. So if anybody's having trouble, it could be that pin, or your upper's not mating well with that lower because of this little bevel right here. You might want to shave that down some. I'm not going to do it because, again, I have multiple barrels. This just won't go on with the 357 SIG barrel installed. So those were the major issues I ran into when I was putting Mystique together. Hopefully some of that information might help somebody else out. If you got any questions, anything I can maybe help you out with, let me know in the comments, and peace.